It's going to come in the way you already process your thoughts. So if you're a real feeler first, notice how you feel. Some people do picture their words, and that'll come. You just don't want to be open to any way that something comes across the screen of your mind or your feelings or your body even. Because some people feel things in their body in a really strong way. You don't want to dismiss that. You just want to ask good questions about it.
Hey guys, it's Nancy, and welcome to the She Laughs podcast. Sit down with me while I chat and get personal with some insanely cool women as they share their smarts and their hearts. God gave us each unique gifts, and we got to use them. Inside each one of us is a cool girl. So buckle up. Let's get vulnerable. Let's get real, and let's laugh.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm so excited to see you.
Hi, I'm so happy to see you.
Thank you for being on today. Just want everybody to hear all about you and what you do and what you've done in this amazing book, which we'll get to shortly, that Cayce has written. But first, I want to give everybody an introduction to Cayce Harris. She has been, for me, I can't even tell y'all, just such a huge, just a big giant hug for decades now. I can't even believe we're along enough in our life journey to say that. But Cayce's just an amazing person who really understands how to hear from God. And I did not know that before I met Cayce. So today I would love for Cayce to share that, because so many of us, this podcast is based on really living in fear, and that God does not want us to be afraid. He tells us that over and over, but we get caught up in our heads and we listen to these critical voices that are not God. And it's really hard to break free of that. And I've seen so many women that do not live out their full life and all that God has planned for them because they are harnessed by that fear, and it prevents them from, using all their amazing gifts. So today I want to introduce Cayce. She is just an amazing person. She has done so much, and she's so humble that here is when I asked her to give me a bio. It's one sentence, y'all.
Very good job.
I have a longer one. Okay, so I'm going to read it, and I'm going to ask you to kind of fill in a little bit because you've done a lot more than this. But Cayce is an expert in practical spirituality and two-way prayer, known for creating the One Journey spiritual formation framework and empowering leaders to find their authentic voices. So Cayce, I'm going to let you tell everybody a little bit more about you than that one sentence, because there's so much more to you and in all of this than just that sentence.
Well, Nancy, I always love getting to be with you, and I'm hoping I get to see you in person soon.
We'll
host. Well, so one of the things that Nancy's going to come to shortly is our 7-day intensive, which is where we take that One Journey framework, which we've created over the last really 20 years, but the last 5 years specifically. It's a spiritual formation framework that's different than most that you've seen because it's rooted in connection with God. And not that others aren't, but it's not the experiential, how do I hear God's voice around all these different aspects of my life. And so that's what makes it unique. And we do it in 2 parts down on a beautiful island off the Texas coast. And so I can't wait for you to come join us.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm super excited.
So that's really what I've been working on. I feel like with my life, I didn't know I was working on it until during COVID. There were these projects that I'd always wanted to do. I'd been writing a book, and I'd been playing around in conversation with some friends about what it would look like to put this formation framework together, and what it would look like to really, if we could give people the best of our experience, how would we do it? How would we deliver it? And so we came up with a few different delivery options. That's one. You can come down and experience it in a retreat. And it's a really, really sweet, powerful, deep time. And most people have never.
The role of the retreat, so just so people understand,
Yeah.
What are they signing up for? It's not like they're signing up for to learn how to surf or how to, meditate or, even though they would, right? I mean, if somebody wanted to come, what are they searching for that you help them with there?
Yeah, the main thing that we're helping with is really going deep into who you are, how God made you, and then how to move in your life every day, whatever you're doing, from a place of groundedness within yourself and connection to God. And so a lot of people, have a deep spirituality, but they don't have a practical daily practice of their faith or their spirituality, or they'll say, well, I'm spiritual and I'm open to God and I know there is a God, but I don't actually really feel like I've ever actually heard God's voice, or I have had these certain experiences in my life, but I don't know how to practice hearing God's voice. So for people who want more authentic connection with God, for people who want more authentic understanding of who they are, and then for people who want this is not a big conference setting. There's not thousands of people or hundreds of people. We cap it at, I think the most I've done is 14, and that was kind of for a friend. I really like 7 to 10. And so it's a very
super, I know I'm interrupting, but just so you know, you don't have to be able to quote chapter and verse. You don't have to insert your church. You don't even have to belong to a church.
No.
You have to you could be just curious, right? And wanting to know more. Okay.
Yeah. And we get all kinds of backgrounds, and you don't even have to know what you think about God. I mean, if you just want to go deeper in your authentic practice of spirituality that is practical, how does this actually impact my day to day? Learn practices that ground you, that help you understand who you are, that help you have like navigation tools for life, that help you process past pain. But we don't focus on that, but that always comes up because it's just life. Right. But really just people who want more. A lot of times we get people in transition. They've had a great career, they're, have beautiful children, and something's shifting for them. And they do want more in their life. Or we get younger people who are going, I don't have a church home. I don't even know how I feel about, my faith, but I do want a deeper spirituality that I can practice. So we get a lot of people like that, which I love.
Well, that sounds like to me it's also for people who have a lot of question marks, and maybe they want to know what God's will is for them and they don't know. Maybe they don't, like you said, don't even know who God is and they want to know more, but really coming and searching and finding out maybe, okay, this is the vocation that I really am called to do, but I've been afraid I couldn't do this. It sounded weird to everybody. It sounded kind of woo-woo, or I'm not enough, or maybe it's the relationship that they're in is not serving them. Mm-hmm. And, they can come and find that out, but it really is it's hearing from him and grounding themselves, what I'm hearing, right? And learning more about themselves and what God has intended for them. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a great way to say it. And it's not just you come here and you have this special experience. Everything we do is practical for you when you go back to your real life. So that's really important to me, because I don't want to be the place that people come to find these moments, as great as it's going to be when you're with us. But I want you to learn how to do that in everyday life on your own, not with me. And so that's super important. And the other piece, like you said, I would say that happens more than I can count, that people come and they clarify actually what they really, really want, who they really, really are. And a lot of times that is hidden under these layers. Like you said, if I'm afraid to do this because what about this? And so I've just noticed that people kind of come alive in like more the creative side of who they are, like the deeper dreams that they have, that they've been carrying, that maybe they have put to the side or feel like realistic. It's really neat to see what happens. And it's neat now, we've done it for 4 years now, to see people who've made real big changes or just stepped more deeply into who they really are and what they actually want their life to look like, and started organizing their life around that, to see them a couple of years later, and they're
is it like
so glad. Oh, it's incredible to see the changes and to see, to just get the texts and the calls and they, I was here.
Okay. And something I think that's important for people to know, and I'd love for you to speak to this a little bit because, you have the credentials, you got the street cred to back this up. You're not just somebody who dreamed up a camp, or a retreat, whatever you want to call it, down at the coast. And, you really, I'd like for you, I know you're she's so humble and amazing. And, so I'm going to kind of force you, like I'm cracking open an oyster because there's a big, beautiful pearl in there that's Cayce Harris. So I'm going to force you just to kind of give a little bit about your background. You've got a lot of education to back this up, a lot of experience working with people at one. So if you would just kind of briefly touch on that so people know, who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my experience is definitely what gives me legitimacy to do what we do. And so that started absolutely from a place of interest and pain. I would say in college, where I grew up in the church. I grew up with a really unique background because I had a very evangelical Christian upbringing, which had its benefits and its hindrances.
Yeah.
And I was just looking for more. I was looking for what I was not finding in that. And a lot of that had to do with authentic connection. If we're talking about this God who's always with us, why do I often feel like I'm missing something?
I think so many people feel that way.
I do too.
For sure.
Yeah. A lot of church leaders feel that way. A lot of spiritual leaders feel that way.
Interesting when you find that out. It's so validating when I hear.
It's very human.
Actually, Cato say, sometimes I wonder, is there really a God? And I'm like, wow, okay. Anyway,
yeah.
Keep.
And I think it's part of the human journey that we aren't alone, but we feel alone. We have experiences that tell us a story about who we are that's not true. We all experience fear. We all experience shame. We all have dreams. We all have desires. We all want more.
Right.
And so I think that's been my path. But the specific path it took is definitely in the faith world. And then I got the opportunity to study in Israel many, many times from age 16 on, which was a really big gift to me because I was I'm a Bible nerd. I love all of the things around spirituality and history and community and how people understand themselves in light of who they're around and in light of the world around them. And so, you can
worry is not accurate, right? That what you're saying is what we tell ourselves and comes from our experiences. And it's not always, it's mostly it's not true, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much that we tell ourselves that isn't true and isn't really based in reality. And then there's a lot of really good questions that we're asking. One of the things that I learned studying in Israel, just this understanding, it seems basic, but a lot of people don't have it. I certainly didn't. It's just that Jesus is a Jewish rabbi. He was a Jewish rabbi. And what does that mean? And the only thing I'll say here is that the question is really honored. And I was coming out of a background where I did not think we were supposed to ask questions. I thought we were supposed to know and believe and trust and have certainty and I didn't realize that the way that God leads us so often is with the questions that we actually are already asking in our hearts and our minds. So one of the things we do on our retreat is just surfacing the questions that are there and then asking them in a really honest way to God and to ourselves. So that started for me when I was in my teens. And then I pursued a path that was I was looking for anyone who seemed to have an authentic connection to God. And I wanted to learn from them. And that was personal to them, but something that they could share. And so that took me down a path of doing a lot of learning from prayerful people. A lot more.
Is that what you
did? Yeah. And mentors, but
yeah.
There were definitely key people that would point me in a certain direction. And then that led me to learning all kinds of different things about trauma healing prayer, connection prayer is what we call it in the work that I do at One. And I started working with an organization called Christ Healing Center. I visited it probably over right when it opened about 20 years ago now, and knew the people that.
Years. Wow.
Yeah, it was 20 years this fall. And so long story short, I ended up working with Christ Healing Center starting about 12 years ago, 11 years ago, can't remember. But we changed the name of the organization to One. And that's because we were working with leaders from all over South Texas who would send like their worst cases to us.
Worst case, like,
oh, what I mean is I could be the worst case on my worst day or on the day that my life's falling apart. It's just that what we saw was that when pastoral leaders or just leaders in general, business leaders, when their lives were falling apart, somebody would tell them, go to Christ Healing Center. Like, we don't have the tools, but they do. They can help you. So we saw like people off the street and the wealthiest people in San Antonio and everything in between. We would see people you've never heard of to people everyone in town knows. We just got this, we kind of were like, I would always say we're like, it's like Nicodemus coming under cover of night, this religious leader who came almost embarrassed to Jesus. And so it was kind of shocking who we were dealing with, because we were not associated with one church. We were associated with 100.
Right.
We were not. Yeah. And we didn't go into a workplace scenario, but all of a sudden we had leaders of companies sending their employees to us when their employees were going through things, or when their employees, were looking for some emotional support or some spiritual support, and didn't necessarily want to go to counseling. I think we've been a unique bridge between the church world and the counseling world.
I agree. And people would come, just to kind of fill in here, because I went.
Yeah. Oh, this is how I met you, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of think we met at church.
Did we meet? Yeah, probably so.
Yeah. Back in the day, you always had like a baby. Y'all. And I mean, she always had like a little baby at some point throughout
Lloyd's,
church. But people would come to One, and still do, and it was just super casual. You come in, there was noonday prayer, people would pray with you, and really it to me it was like a big warm blanket where you could go and really feel God and feel supported, and it wasn't like you have to go in to one of these therapy sessions and vomit everything out, in your heart to strangers. It was really personalized and really accepting and really light. There wasn't this heavy woo-woo, weird stuff, because people, I think, get afraid to walk into something like that. They're like, okay, wow, are there going to be monks and incense and everybody, quoting scripture, or is everybody going to be like some kind of Woodstock hippie love thing? I mean, people don't know, right? And it's just, like you said, it had such a broad brush and such a loving vibe. Mm-hmm. It brought people from all walks of life, all demographics, educational backgrounds. And I don't live there anymore, but I know that it lives on. And for those people listening, I'd love for you to give them the website too, because I think
I will.
Cool website. Okay.
Well, one of the things before I give the website that happened to us, because we had so many different people from different backgrounds coming, is we just realized where the need actually was. And it was that people didn't know where, they didn't have a place to send people, and they didn't really have a place to go in their communities. And they kind of outsourced some of these, I would say, more honest conversations with themselves and with God to us. And we, that was an honor that we took seriously to create a really safe and loving space for those things to happen. And we learned how to do it well. And we made all kinds of mistakes along the way, but we really learned how to help people heal and grow and move into who they really are and get free over time. It's a process. And so that's led us to today, which is we realized the best impact we could actually have is to work with leaders who really want to recreate what we're doing in their space. It's not going to look like us. but it's going to look like them, but they're going to have the tools that they need where they don't have to go, wow, your life's a mess or my life's a mess. I need the ER. Now they can go, how do we build these practices in that allow people to thrive? So that's what we're really about now. And so everything we do is to help people really go through the process themselves and learn how to integrate these simple tools that make all the difference for them, and especially around business leaders, church leaders, nonprofit leaders. I see everyone as a leader in a certain degree, but wherever your realm of leadership is, how do you start integrating these practices that bring healing, abundance, clarity, insight, like a sense of settledness? You're not always asking this question, like, am I okay?
Right.
So the website,
kind of like, what you're looking to do for everybody is, if I'm going to equate it, it's kind of like a fat camp. Okay. People go away and they're like, okay, we're going to starve you, eat carrot stick and celery and run and swim. And, and then they're like, we feel great. Not having a glass of wine at night. I'm not eating chips and queso. And they feel all energized and they go home and it's like, okay, where's chips and queso? So what you're doing is helping them in the same manner, but making that doesn't happen, right? You're giving them the tools instead of just having a wonderful week or weekend retreat where everybody feels good in the moment, but it's getting home. And if I'm going to stay in that vein of, exercise, of saying, okay, here's your exercise plan. Here's why you're eating healthy foods. Here's why you're equipping them with that, but for their spirit, and right to stand and not just feel good while they're there, right?
Exactly, and it's definitely better than fat camp. It's fun. It's a nice, like retreat type setting, but it's really about, yes, what your day looks like every day, and it's leaning into what you already want. So it's there's a lot of permission giving, like you said earlier, so many of us actually have these things inside of us that we have a hint. It's like a question or a desire or something that just comes so easily to us that we lose track of time. But we think, well, that's not what I can do. I should be doing all these other.
Yes, the shoulds.
The shoulds, yeah. Wow. But I would say that's probably one of the biggest keys that we're helping people do is stop living from the should. But it's very human. We're all addicted to the should. You wake up every day in your set of shoulds. And so how do you have practices that help shift you out of that into connection with yourself, connection with God, connection with others, and connection with the world around you in the way you are made to connect? I mean, Nancy, I love that you're doing this. It's so just we want to put people on a fast track to really getting into the flow of their life, into the really good stuff. And so we have a lot of different ways you can do that. Here in San Antonio, you can still do what we've always done, which is personal prayer appointments. And you can come and sit in a beautiful room and with two people who will just help you hold a space where you connect with God for a longer time. That's really powerful, really good. I really recommend it. What we've created for people who aren't in San Antonio, and really San Antonians too, is really this ideal journey of what we learn to do in our little prayer house with people. What does that look like in your everyday life? What does it look like to foster a lifestyle of that? So we have everything else is online or down at the coast, and you can find us at theonejourney.com. And theonejourney.com, you may never show up on a Zoom call, although they're awesome. I highly recommend them. You may never come down to the coast, but you can get a ton of our content there by going through our platform, and you'll see little videos of me talking you through things and leading you through things at your own pace. And we've had people go through all of that without ever showing up to anything we do and get a ton out of it. So if you're like an online course type person, that's great for you. What I recommend, though, is that you go through that, but show up on a Monday or a Tuesday at noon when we do group calls. And I workshop with people how to hear God's voice. I workshop with people where they are. There's different leaders who lead people through just an hour of connection.
In person.
It's a Zoom. Yeah, it's great. And people have people all over the world. Yes, I had somebody show up from France, and I had no idea how they found us yesterday. It's just really fun because anyone can join us. And we keep them pretty small. If there get to be too many, we add another one, but it's usually about 15 people. And if you sign up for our newsletters, you'll see a link that can tell you anytime, and you can just get it in your inbox when you want to join a Zoom any Monday or Tuesday.
I think it's cool to, like you said, for people who, I have people that come to the Bible study that I lead with question marks, and they just kind of want to dip their toe in. So they're like, well, I've never been in a Bible study. Can I keep my camera off and my mic off? Do I have to tell them, and we're like, yes, just hearing a study.
Same.
There's much value in that. So I wanted to ask you is, for those that are maybe a little bit hesitant to be on camera or on mic, they can just cameras off, mic off, and they never have to say anything, right?
So how it works for us, and anybody can come. You don't have to sign up. Just come on a Monday with the link. As long as you will show us your face and say hi one time, it can literally be this long. Hi, I'm Cayce. I'm going to go off camera. So that we know that you're a real person. You don't have to say another word. Well, we just want to keep it a safe space because a lot of people actually will share in that space. And so we just want to know that you're a real person, that you're willing to be seen. But it can be 10 seconds, and then you can just listen in for the hour.
Okay. Because I find that is a good thing for some people.
Oh, I totally agree. And there's days I don't want to be seen, and I just want to listen in, and I want to follow along, and I don't want to share out loud, and that's totally fine.
Okay. All right. So that's the one online.
That's on Mondays. Yes.
And then for the retreats, are there twice a year? Is that right? Just for everybody listening, or y'all doing more?
We're doing 4 a year now.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. Yeah. So we've got 2 coming up this spring, and then we'll do 2 more in the fall.
Okay. Awesome. And how can people find out about that?
That will be on our onejourney.com website as well. Yeah. The onejourney.com. We have another website called, it's one-sa.org, and that's a little bit more local. But it also has resources on there, but you should be able to find everything that you need at the onejourney.com.
Okay. We'll go over that again at the end just to make sure everybody has it. Okay. So that's your one history. I'd really like to get into this because y'all, this book that Cayce has written, it is, I get choked up. It is so good. And if you've ever just questioned, is he real? Is the voice I'm hearing me? Is it him? And then of course all the am I enough? All this stuff. I'm not enough. I'm not this. All these questions. And again, this isn't like a woo-woo feel good. This is it's pretty intellectual stuff, right? It's really cool and really deep, but really helpful. And I wanted to read from what you said, who the book is for, because I think that's really cool. This book will help anyone who wants to experience the connection that already exists between our own thoughts, God's thoughts, and the voices of the world around you, which can be so loud, right? And so confusing. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about it, specifically. A lot of this, I loved this where it says, fear about being wrong melts when we realize we are loved, known, and connected to God as humans. And I love that because so much of us are carrying around this fear of being wrong, especially when you have the perfectionism mindset, which is crippling. And I speak from experience. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I can't do that. I can't, and even doing this podcast, you want everything to be perfect. And then I'm like, it's not, nothing is but Jesus, right? But it's that fear of being wrong that, I love how you said it melts when we realize we are loved, known, and connected to God as humans. So, I'd love to have you talk a little bit about that. And, wait, before you do, she says this, guys. See, I love this book. I could quote from it all day. What I loved, she said, this is for you, this guide that she talks about. Whether you use the name Jesus, Yeshua, or, hey, God, are you even real? when you engage in a conversation with God. And I love that too, because again, I don't want somebody to think, oh, this is way over my head. I'm so not on that place in my journey, right? I want everybody to know it's just, if you have a question mark, God, are you even real? So I'm going to let you talk a little bit about it now.
Yeah, I my heart in writing it is really because it's not just that I believe everybody is connected to God, it's that I know we are. And I say that really back to the experience I've had. I've had this unique experience of having so many people, from different backgrounds with different ideas walk in. And the common denominator is that they're willing to be there and they're willing to try.
Yeah. Be vulnerable, right? I mean,
Right. It is vulnerable. I mean, to not just bow your head and pray or follow a liturgy, as beautiful as that can be.
sure.
To actually say, I'm open to an experience of connection with God. And what immediately will come are all those fears of like, well, what if I'm the one person who can't? Or what if, what if I'm broken? What if this doesn't work on me? And I've never once seen it not work on somebody. And what people find out is,
You've never seen it not work. Okay. Love that. Okay.
well, doing this challenged all kinds of beliefs that I had. Like I definitely at some point believed that you had to be a Christian to hear God's voice. Now I don't, because I've prayed with a ton of people who would say they're not, and they absolutely can hear God's voice easily right away. And I mean, you kind of can't argue with experience past a certain point. You know what I'm saying? When I have this idea, and that's really the blessing of this job that I've had for so long, is that there's a lot of things that I believed that were challenged by what I actually saw happen, what I saw people experience of God, beyond my wildest dreams. That
Make up.
yeah, sure. I mean,
Confidence.
the one example is coming to mind, and I'm gonna kind of change the person, but a very, very well-known female, strong business leader who a lot of my friends know, and not the person that you would ever think is going to, one, walk into church, two, come over to meet with Cayce at Christ Healing Center. But for whatever reason, this person was just going through a season where she wanted something real around a conversation with God. Came in and genuinely is apologizing to me because she's going, I do not believe in this. I'm nervous to do this. I don't even know how to show up. I don't even know what words to use. I'm embarrassed that I'm here. And on my end, it's not embarrassing at all, but I can completely understand without the context how that could be. I'm just glad she's there. And so we started off with a really simple grounding question, and it's one that is just so simple, but it always works. And it's that, and I'll do it actually here. Whoever's listening can join in with us.
Okay, cool.
And we're asking God questions. I'm not actually asking you, Nancy. I'm going to ask God, but the way that the answer will come is that it will immediately pop into your mind or your heart. And I use that loosely. I just mean like that sense of knowing, that deeper intuition, or your body. So any way that you receive input, a thought, a feeling, a sense of something, a little picture in your mind, a little movie in your mind, I just want you to pay attention to that. So this is a very simple question, and I'm going to ask God that question. And when I led her through this, I said, are you comfortable with the word God? And she was like, no. I was like, okay, that's totally fine, but tell me what word would be comfortable for you. And she literally said, probably just the big, hey, you. I was like, oh,
I love it.
Yeah, that's fine. So the big, hey, you. Do you love me? And just gave her a second to feel what she felt when I asked the question, to notice what came to her mind, and to be able to say it to me, whatever that was. And her, like many that I've prayed with that don't necessarily know what they think about faith or God, it almost happens faster for them, where immediately there's tears.
I know. Like, the reason if you're just listening and not watching, it's because that for me, knowing how she must have felt when you said that, it made me teary. I'm like, that's a big, that would, I think, bring a big response in somebody. Right.
Well, to go from, I don't know, I don't know why I'm here, kind of hate this, friend kind of pressured me into it, that kind of thing.
Right.
You like, it's almost like a switch flips immediately. And it feels like that I always think of that saying, like taking off your shoes because you're on holy ground. Very often that happens to me where it's like, I don't even need to say any word. What's happening here is so strong.
Oh, yeah.
I can just kind of sit back in my chair, take off my shoes, and I just feel honored to be in the room. Her whole session was like that. It was like electricity in a room, the depth and the warmth of very simple questions that we were asking God. Hey, you know, do you love me? Are you here? What do you love about me? What's something that's on my mind that you want to help me understand more? What's the story I'm telling myself? And, when you take those things and just easily take them to God, Jesus is always on the top tip of my tongue. And I'll often pray it like, okay, the story I'm telling myself is that my life is falling apart. Jesus, what's the truth? And then you're just allowing them space to notice what comes to mind and grab onto it. And so I've never seen anyone not be able to hear from God. And then there's just things that are absolutely consistent about how God sounds. I'm so sorry.
No, no, yeah. So even in somebody like this, big time, career woman, not sure, not really a believer, they can come and do this walk with you, either at the retreat or on one
Body.
and feel it.
Yeah. I mean, the opposite side of that spectrum would be a man who'd gotten out of jail like a week before. Absolutely angry at God. Completely. In his words, he would call himself darkened. I am dark.
Oh, wow.
That was one of my other favorite opportunities to lead somebody through. And I would say I was a little intimidated because of how he saw himself. I wasn't intimidated like by his past. I was intimidated because he was so sure that he was not a child of God, and literally said to me, when I go to talk to God, all I see and feel is black. Like,
Oh, Cayce.
wow. So he was just carrying a lot of pain, And he was another one. It was literally like this. I mean, we did the question, are you a child of God? Or Jesus, is this person a child of God? And he goes, no. And then I said, is it okay if we ask if that's a lie or not? And so then immediately we said, Jesus, is it a lie or is it the truth that this person's not a child of God? And he snapped his eyes open and looked at me and said, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I heard almost an audible voice telling me it's a lie.
Oh, Cayce.
And then I said, well, let's just see what else. Oh, and he said, it's darkness telling me that I'm not a child of God. And I said, well, let's just see what else that darkness is saying. What are the other lies? And he goes, I'm not a child of God. I have no purpose, no destiny, and I might as well just end it, die.
But so many people feel that way.
Okay. So many people feel that way and don't want to say it. Or it's very subconscious. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's all
people who are traveling the globe and lead this, amazing lifestyles. It's
totally.
It's global.
And then we fight against it and we try to work ourselves into a good place. And yeah, it's pretty amazing to be on this side of it where you can just surface those things, help them connect with God. I mean, immediately he went from that to, so we went, okay, Jesus, let's take it one by one. Jesus, what's the truth on, am I a child of God? And then he just immediately saw a picture and heard the words, you are, saw a picture of a heart. And he said, there's this guy coming and he's holding a lamp and he's knocking on my heart like my heart's a door.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, well, do you want to let him in? He's like, yeah, I
Visualize that.
yes. He's telling me the picture in his mind. And he goes, as soon as I said, do you want to let him in? He goes, yeah, I do. And then he starts like going like this. And he's like,
Leaning back. Okay. Like a weight.
yeah, leaning back. And he's almost like squinting. And he goes, oh, it's so bright. It's so bright. So that was like 5 minutes of him just being overwhelmed by this light.
Wow.
And then everything else that came out of the conversation with God was all about who he is, how important he is, how much of an impact he's already had, how much of an impact he will have. Just so much love, so much reality of who he actually is. But he was not in touch with any of it. He was just in touch with how heavy it felt to feel so broken,
Is he one of the people that you've followed or kept up with, or does he? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love.
Yeah. He is one of the people that I've followed and kept up with. You're making me want to give him a call today, but he actually came and spoke at one of our events a couple of years later, and I picked him up at the airport, and he said, "You see what I'm wearing?" And I was like, "Yeah, you look great." He's wearing this bright white shirt and these really nice crisp blue jeans. He goes, "When we met, I only wore dark colors," and he said, "Now I can't do it. I wear light colors." Just a really that was an incredibly transforming hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just getting him unstuck. I mean, I think it's like that was powerful for him in the hour, but the rest of his life goes on and he still needs the skills, just like all of us, to continue hearing what is real and to continue connecting to love.
Well, and that I think, like, we all want the quick fix, right? Or whatever it is.
Oh, I want it.
I mean, I know there's even if Netflix, where is it? Well, I want the next one. We're going to binge.
For minutes to load, yeah.
And yeah, we want the quick fix, but like anything, it's a practice, and the more you do this, the closer you get to him. The more you know what your purpose is, the more peace you have, right? And to me, that I think is truly what everybody's searching for, is that peace, that, and it manifests itself worldly in all different ways, people searching, but it's not lasting, right? It's all just surface stuff. But to do something like this, it's not just, okay, I went and saw Cayce at 1, it's one and done, That's not it. It is like anything, a climb. It is a daily practice that to get to that space, right?
Absolutely. Well, that's why we've shifted so much at One, is just really trying to support people in their process, because I don't think you really can do anything worthwhile that you want to do alone. As independent as I actually tend to be, the experience of healing and the experience of connection to Jesus can absolutely happen alone, but the process of life always plays out in community. And so learning how to integrate practices into your way of life, you're already practicing something. I may be just practicing self-doubt every day.
Right.
You might as well practice self-acceptance and hearing God's voice of love for you, So that's why we want to come alongside people in the process, just because life is a process. Nobody gets away from this thing of, it's a maturing process, it's a healing process, and there's so much goodness that's actually available for us to walk in every day.
Cayce, I love that. Okay, I'm going to read one more from your one more little quote from your book that I loved. I loved so much. And y'all who are listening, when you read this, it's just like what Cayce's talking about. To me, the feelings and the emotions that the people that she's talked about that have come into One experience, and it really helps give you the tools to have this become who you are, not just something you learned or an experience you had, but it becomes part of you. And it's amazing. Okay, so I love this. It's talking about the fear and shame that we carry with us, and we listen to that voice that's not true. And so she says here, who you really, really are, the part of you that was baked into the fabric of your existence, is inescapably good, smart, free, important, and powerful, quite threatening indeed. And that person is your biggest threat, who you resist, belittle, and evade for fear that she is some version of bad, wrong, off, broken, tainted, or simply quite not enough. And then one more sentence. Understanding how mind alchemy works begins with understanding that your only sure move in life is to deeply embrace who God made you to be, who you already are. Whoa. I mean, that is huge. I love that. And I'd love for you to say a little bit about that as well, because to me, that is so powerful. And I just read that for the first time when I read it. And I just sat there and reread it because it's so powerful. And it spoke so much to me and my life and my journey. And so I know it does to others from what I hear about their pain or their doubts or their shame or whatever it is. So I'd love to hear it from the author herself a little bit about that.
Well, thanks, Nancy. I mean, it's really cool to hear what does stand out to you, but you just read really the heart of the book. The idea that what is most threatening to us is actually what is best for us, if that makes sense. Or what's really threatening to us is to live fully integrated with who we really are, to live a life unhidden and self-expressed, meaning, I'm not couching who I am to make everybody else okay. I'm not trying to be what I think you need me to be. That's actually what's really threatening to us. It's less threatening for us to hide. It's less threatening for us to walk around afraid. Like, we're actually pretty comfortable walking around in our own trauma. We're pretty comfortable. Why?
Well, right, but why? I mean,
I think it's just because it's what we know.
Yeah.
And it's what we've had modeled for us. And so anything that feels like change or a growing edge is going to feel threatening at first. And if we can see that it's not actually threatening, it's actually life-giving. On the other side of, me stopping hiding what I really care about and who I really am is life. It's freedom. Yeah. It's joy. It's ease. It's like my life will actually flow better. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but I will have the capacity that I need. I'll be able to be creative, so the
about that, don't you? And you've said this in the book, but something about stepping into that all God created us to be, and what we, feel we're designed to do, and where we feel creative and at our best. There's something about that is in conflict with that fear that you're talking about, or that doubt, to where if we step into that good stuff, we feel guilty. And maybe like it's selfish or wrong or not right. Am I right? I mean, that's what I've experienced.
No, me too. Well, and I think some of this, we have to be really aware that, whatever culture you've grown up in, and then whatever ideas about faith and politics that you've been given, I mean, it does impact the way that you see yourself. Absolutely. Your family of origin. And so for some people, this is harder than others. If you grew up in a family where there was a lot of self-acceptance and a lot of permission to dream, and there wasn't, all kinds of different forms of self-shaming, it's going to be easier, but it's still a part of your journey that we're going to question ourselves. We're going to doubt. And I think what we have to start doing is see that that's not actually such a problem. Like, dismantle the threat in it. Like, this is part of the human journey, that I question everything that's dear to me, or that there's like, if we'll follow the questions rather than stuffing the questions, we're going to get a lot further ahead. So if I'm going, am I wrong? Like just taking that question you brought up earlier, like, I'm so afraid that I'm wrong. Well, what if I actually look at it as a question? Like, am I wrong? And I start looking at all the ways that that question has influenced the way that I act and the way that I think and the way that I talk and the way that I show up in the world. And then I start asking that question of myself and God in an honest way. I'm dismantling the threat that's the question. If the question is threatening to me, if I'm afraid to feel that I might be wrong because I'm nervous that maybe that's true, now I won't look at it. Now I shove it down and then I feel guilty that I have this question. I feel disintegrated. I feel like, well, I'm showing up all confident to you, but deep down I feel like a fraud. You know what I mean? It's like, it's imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Yeah.
No, but we all have it. We all do it. So we've got to dismantle the threat around looking at it and going, yeah, this is really human. This is part of the human journey. It's one reason we call it the one journey. It's just, this is everybody's one journey, is to walk through things like this. It's for us. It'll grow us. It'll propel us into who we really are. If we're willing to slow down, look at what's going on, be honest, have a conversation with God, not because we should, but because it's built in. Like, this is the way we were designed to function in a way. Exactly. Anytime you need to, it's so simple. Do it 3 times a day, and I promise it will change your life. It seems so simple, but if you do it 3 times, you could do it 3 times in a row, and you can do it 3 times in an hour. You could do it morning, noon, evening, whatever. And it's just a heart, mind, body check-in. And there's a lot of reasons why this is powerful, and I'm not going to tell you all of them, but there's so many more than you even know. So a lot of times we're trying to do these really big things to change our lives when really it's the little things that'll change it, and this is one of them. So all you're going to do is like write out heart, mind, body. I draw them. I draw a little heart, draw a little thought bubble, draw a little heart, mind, body. And then you're just going to check in with yourself. You're not even praying. You're going to write 2 or 3 words or 1 sentence max on an honest now check in with your heart, your mind, your body. So I might put, my heart feels sad and expectant, or my mind feels clear and I'm wondering about this. And then you're going to check in with your body. My body feels strong and stiff. So whatever is honest for you, you're going to put your heart, mind, body check in. And then you're just going to go back and you're going to use those words that you just put as a way to connect with God. And you're going to say, here's what I put for my heart, God. How do you see it? What do you want me to know? What do you know that I don't know? You can ask any variation of those questions. It would be the same as me going, okay, say Nancy is God. If I'm here with Nancy and she's got a lot of wisdom about me, knows me even better than I know myself, knows the beginning from the end, I might just it'd be smart to check in with her since she's here to go, okay, Nancy, I'm feeling this. You know me better than I know myself. What am I feeling? And then I'm going to listen immediately to what comes to mind next and write it out. So you just do your heart, mind, body check-in, and then you go, Jesus, what do you say next to your heart? Jesus, what do you say next to your mind? Jesus, what do you say next to your body? And just notice what's there. Notice what comes to mind. A lot of times people will have something that just affirms what they already have. Sometimes they'll have the opposite. Like I've put on there before that I'm feeling good, and he goes, you're angry. Or I'll put on there that I'm feeling achy and sore, and he goes, you're getting healthier every day. There's a lot of reframing that happens in the distance between your thoughts and the shortcut to what do you say, Jesus? It'll get reframed a lot. And then here's how you check. Is it God's voice? And if it's not, you just chunk it. But God's voice is going to sound more kind and more loving than yours. And if you believed it, it comes from a place of love and life, and it will produce love and life. So you look at root and fruit. So whatever comes up, if it's not life-giving, chunk it. Okay. Bring life. Even if you're wrong, let's say you're wrong, it's not God's voice. What's the harm in believing something that's loving and life-giving?
Oh, love that. And so everybody knows, I know you and I've done this together, so I know, but it's not an audible voice necessarily, right?
Yeah, it's going to sound like yours.
It will sound like your voice in your head,
the way you already think.
Sure, right? Of whatever it is, sunshine or words. I remember you telling me some people see words and like they'll see the word love or something. Right?
It's going to come in the way you already process your thoughts. So if you're a real feeler first, notice how you feel. Some people do picture their words, and that'll come. You just don't want to be open to any way that something comes across the screen of your mind or your feelings or your body even. Because some people feel things in their body in a really strong way. You don't want to dismiss that. You just want to ask good questions about it.
Okay. And if you don't hear anything, I remember you saying keep asking, right? Don't just give up and go, this isn't working for me. Keep asking. God, I don't.
Yeah.
Right. Or question. Right.
Stay in the conversation, meaning like, if you don't think you're getting anything, tell me what you would describe happened between the moment you asked and the moment you just told me that you're not getting anything. Because usually people are getting something, they're just dismissing it. So if you told me, well, I'm not really getting anything, I'd say, well, what happened in your thoughts between when I asked the question and you not getting anything? And you might say something like, well, I just felt really peaceful and kind of clear-minded. I would say write down peaceful and clear-minded. You're just describing what's happening. As soon as you ask God the question, now describe what's happening in your mind. And usually that'll get people unstuck from the thought that they're not getting anything because they are.
Okay. That's awesome. Okay. So everybody, you can find Cayce's book on, where can they find your book?
Anywhere. You can find it on barnesandnobles.com, on bookbaby.com, on amazon.com.
Okay. Awesome. Amazon.com. That would be me. And y'all, it's fantastic. And it's a fantastic, I've given some to friends as well that love it too. It's a great gift. And then the website one more time for everybody.
theonejourney.com.
Okay. Onejourney.com. Cayce, I love you so much. And I'm so grateful that you're in my life and that you came here today. And I hope that everyone listening just takes hold of this and runs with it because it will change your life.
Thank you, Nancy. So glad to see you.
Well, I love you.
Love you too.
Thanks so much for listening to She Laughs. If this episode encouraged you, would you share it with a friend who might need a little courage or a reminder that she's not alone? Every share helps more women find their inner cool girl and kick fear to the curb. You can find links to our guests, watch full episodes on YouTube, and connect with me on social at She Laughs Podcast Official, all in the show notes. And remember, the dream inside of you means something. Take the first step. Be brave. God's got your back. And girl, you've got this.